Hello, nerds. Thank you for watching Generally Nerdy. This is your Week in Nerdom Music Edition for the week of November 12th, 2018. We are almost to the end of the year, and there's some channel news that we've got to get out of the way. We're talking about the new album, or rather the new tour for All That Remains, August Burns Red new album. There's quite a bit in music this week, so let's hit the intro real quick so we can get to it.
Quiet on the set, rolling.
Hi, I am Bitsy Telek.
Hey, I'm Hale Appleman.
I'm Walter Kane.
I'm Rene Aubergenois. Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Commander Worf, Star Trek The Next Generation.
Come and see me and hear me and talk to me and listen to me talk about myself.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, often considered generally nerdy, and you are listening to what is often considered generally nerdy.
On Generally Nerdy.
You're listening to
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
Generally nerdy.
Okay, first, we have a little bit of channel news to get out of the way. For the next, this is going to be the last proper week of Nerddom videos for the year. It's not going to be the last Nerddom episodes this week. There will be, they will be kind of scattered throughout the rest of the year, but it's not going to be the regular Monday music, Tuesday TV, Wednesday movies, so on and so forth that we always do, because a number of reasons. Holidays, birthdays, travel, so much is going on over the next month and a half, 2 months, that I just am not going to have the time normally I allot myself, and I'm going to be working on a couple of format changes, a couple of new directions I want to go and things like that with the channel. So there's going to be a little bit of housekeeping that goes on over the next few weeks. And yeah, just come the first of the year, things are going to start looking a little differently here on Nerdy and sounding a little bit differently here on Nerdy and so on and so forth. So all good things, but you'll see it all happen. And as it goes along, hopefully things will improve. That's all we've got for that. Let's actually hit the real music news. And first on the list is All That Remains. So with Ollie, their guitar player who passed away a couple weeks ago, with his absence, they did just put out a new record. Victim of the New Disease comes out either as you're watching this or tomorrow, depending on if you're a patron or not. And they are going on tour to support this new record. So that means they're in need of a guitar player. Well, they have hired somebody. And somebody who, quite honestly, is probably overqualified for what they need. They got Jason Richardson, YouTuber. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. Dude is just a guitar whiz, the virtuoso, I don't know, all of these wonderful words. Richardson qualifies as each of them. So he's going to be filling out lead guitar for the tour. No word on if there's any plans on replacing Ollie in the long term. If they do, will it be with Richardson? None of that has been announced. It's just we've hired Jason Richardson. He's going to be lending us a hand on this tour, and we are appreciative. And that's about the extent of it. Which, I mean, you can't really. Richardson does plenty on his own, so I don't think he needs the gig. But it would be really interesting to see the direction of a band like All That Remains once they've added a guitar player like Jason Richardson, because he's played with Born of Osiris, he's played with these djenty kind of bands, and his personal sound, the solo work that he does, has that real djenty, again using the air quotes, kind of feel to it. So how would those two genres match up? I feel like that would be an interesting course for Labonte and company to pursue. I honestly would be super intrigued. We've talked about this before. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of All That Remains, but they're not a bad band by any stretch. They're just kind of middle of the road for their genre. And I don't know. That's a whole long conversation that's kind of been ongoing, right? Is mediocrity. I don't know. I don't know. It just is a cool mind experiment of, hey, these guys need a guitar player. This guitar player's gone solo, and he's filling in for them for a live tour. Where could that go in the future? I'm going to pass that off to you guys. Would you like to see Richardson join All That Remains in the long run? Would you want to see him do at least a record? Because he only did one record with Born of Osiris, so would you be interested in hearing what he could do in that band for at least a record? Let's talk about that down in the comments. But our next bit of news has to do with the freaking holidays already. Well, Christmas specifically. I mean, we're in the holiday season, so I can't get too mad. But Christmas before Thanksgiving always drives me crazy, and there's reasons. But August Burns Red, last year we talked about it. They did, I believe they released 2 Christmas song covers. Last Christmas was one of them, and I don't remember. I think, no, it was just the one. Last Christmas. And it was instrumental, entirely instrumental. There was no vocals. Well, this year, instead of just releasing another cover, they're releasing a whole Christmas EP. And it's called Winter Wilderness. There's 6 songs on it, 2 of which are original compositions, and you can see there's a guitar playthrough video linked in the description. It's an official video. They put it out on their Vivo channel. So it's really interesting, but it's not like a performance video necessarily. It's just a guy sitting and playing his guitar. But the song is really interesting because so technically speaking, when you're talking about, and I'm really speaking in generalities here, but when you're talking about Christmas albums, you're talking about an established artist doing a Christmas album. Oftentimes, and there are definitely exceptions to this rule, but oftentimes that artist kind of plays a simpler version of their style, or sings, or whatever the artist normally does. It's a simpler version of their style. Christina Aguilera did a Christmas album, simpler vocal melodies. And Rob Halford did winter songs, which by and large, vocally and instrumentally, was a bit dumbed down. Part of that I know is marketing because it's easier to market, but part of that I feel like is just wanting people to have a new appreciation, kind of broadening your audience, if you will. And that's kind of what they've done, at least with this one solo song that they've released, The Winter Wilderness. That's the theme, or the title song rather, for the EP. That's kind of August Burns Red light. It's not bad. It's still pretty technical, and there's definitely, like, if you want to learn how August Burns Red writes a song, this would be a great place to start because, again, it has all of the elements. It's just simplified versions of the elements. I dig it. I can get behind this. I really dig the fact that they are a band who does not shy away from who they really are. They are a band who started at a time when religious bands in heavy music were widely accepted. Not really the case in our social fabric these days, in the social layout landscape that we are a part of. But they are still all about it, man. They are definitely dudes who believe in God who also make heavy music, and because of that, they are putting out this Christmas record. The complete track listing is as follows. We have Avalanche is the first track. That is an original song. We have It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, obviously a cover. Winter Wilderness is the second original song. Remember, there's the 2, and that's also the video that is linked down in the description. The Home Alone theme is the next track, which is awesome. What Child Is This is the 5th track, and then Last Christmas, the song they released last year, is the 6th track, which rounds out the track list. It does appear, I haven't listened to the entire record, but it would seem that the entire thing is instrumental, which makes sense, because again, you're not going to do their usual vocal styling on a Christmas record. It just doesn't fit. That just seems like an odd choice. It's happened before. Not to say that it's a bad choice, it's just a weird choice, that's all. But that's all we have for August Burns Red. Next, we are talking about Emigrate. Yes, the other band by that dude in Rammstein, Richard Krusp. I don't know, he's German, so I'm probably not saying that correctly. Is the guitar player in Rammstein, is one of the guitar players in Rammstein, and is the be-all, end-all for this band, Emigrate. Well, they are putting out their third record. Richard is putting out his third record with the band, and the name of the record is A Million Degrees. It's out at the end of November. Link in the description to a video, the first single off of the album. It's called 1, 2, 3, 4, or Eins, zwei, drei, vier. Because that's the only bit of lyrics in the song that are in German. The rest of the song's in English. Featuring a guy I didn't recognize, so I didn't write it down, but it's actually not a bad tune. So if you're unfamiliar with Emigrate, generally speaking, Emigrate is still industrial, but it's more industrialized pop rock rather than just industrial metal. Not bad. Still, Richard gets those incredible guitar tones that we know and love from Rammstein, but then throws a kind of poppy gloss over the top of it that, strangely enough, works. This is coming, what we can only assume is very shortly before the new Rammstein record, which kind of begs the question, is Emigrate gonna tour to support their record at the same with Rammstein, who is then going to be touring to support their record, which is likely to come out end of the winter, beginning of the spring, somewhere around there, because we know they're done recording it. So they have post-production and then pressing and then release. So yeah, super excited. Check out the song. I dig it. We could go into a deeper analysis. We will be doing things like that after the new year, kind of a little hint of the changes that are coming. But right now, just kind of giving you the endorsement for the song. It's a listenable song if you don't mind a little pop in your rock. So check it out. Next on our list, we are talking about new Smashing Pumpkins. Their album, Shiny and Oh So Bright, which they are on tour right now to support, which also releases this week. They have released another track off of it, and yeah, it's a Smashing Pumpkins tune. This one, to their credit, is not what you would expect to come out of the Smashing Pumpkins. It's called Knights of Malta. Link to the audio video of it. It's another one of those videos that's just a picture of the album cover with the song title, album title, and then it's obviously the audio from the record, and it's officially put out by them. It's not just some dude who uploaded it to YouTube. It's officially put out by the Pumpkins. So it's their official release of the song, and this... So when Smashing Pumpkins, when we got Zero and Melancholy and Siamese Dream, those records were listenable in spite, or radio playable rather, in spite of themselves. They weren't exactly what the radio was playing at the time, but it was such a great time in music that they got radio play, a kind of in spite of what radio executives would want to be played on their stations. Now that everything is so corporatized, you would never be able to get something like Siamese Dream played on the radio. Well, after Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, Pumpkins, for a brief second, went a little crazy with Ava Adore, and then kind of sort of broke up, and then Billy Corgan decided he was just going to make really super digestible music. Well, everything we've gotten from that point to this point has been just listen to it on the radio, and you kind of get a feel for the entire record. This song is not good, in even so far as to say not even playable on the radio. yeah, click the link, listen to it, come back, help me kind of crystallize these thoughts, because what? I really dig Early Pumpkins. Those first 3 records, so amazing. And this is just such a crazy departure from anything they've put out on those. We're moving on. That's how that goes. This one's a little bit of a story. So it seems that there is a band, and you'll see why I'm using the air quotes here very quickly. There is a band based somewhere in the States. I believe I saw that they were based in LA, but you really can't take anything these guys are doing seriously because they're not really a band. Call themselves Threatin, led by a guy who calls himself Jered Threatin. And so Jered Threatin, over the course of what very likely has been a few years, has created a fake record label, a fake music publication that gave his fake band a fake award, and then also created a website and a web design company, all fake, for this band that there is legitimately music that exists for that is put out under the band name Threatin. There is a link in the description if you dare. I'm going to warn you, don't go into this expecting this to be good. If you go in looking for a train wreck, you will be fine, because that is exactly what that video is, or at least what the song is. The video is something else entirely. So yeah, all of this fakeness, and then he created fake press outlets to write up fake articles about just the depths to which this man faked this band is incredible. And now that in and of itself is kind of a feat to behold. It seems the reason he did all of this is because he was trying to book a European tour for his band. He hired players because from the looks of the video and the sounds of the audio, he recorded everything himself in the studio, probably just his garage, which there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but if you listen to the song, you'll see why I'm tippy-toeing around these words. And legitimately booked a few days, I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10 to 12 dates, mostly in the United Kingdom, but there's a Germany date on the list as well. I didn't see the entire list, but I know, because tonight as I'm filming this, he was supposed to be playing in Germany, but it got canceled. So it's very interesting what he did, and for those of you that don't understand, this is kind of a little bit of inside baseball. The way it works when you're booking shows, generally a small beginning band just goes through the promoter for the club or the venue, and the promoter puts together the show. Or if it's a touring act, then they say, hey, we have us and 2 other bands we would like to play, and they go directly through the venue. The other option, and generally this happens when you're a little bigger, so he's trying to sell himself as being larger than just some random upstart band. The other option is to go through an outside booking agent. The way that works is a booking agent rents the venue. So there's like $1,000 to rent the venue for a night. Now, all of the ticket sales for that night go to the outside booking agent and the acts on stage. So they can charge whatever they want for tickets and make their money back. And then the venue generally gets like a little piece of the merch, which is so messed up. That hasn't always been the case. That's been a relatively new development. So they get a little piece of the merch, and they get the alcohol sales effectively, and that's how they make their wages for their employees effectively, because obviously they've been paid in advance, and then they make this extra money on top. So what he did was pretended to be another person, an outside booking agent, and paid the advance up front to rent these venues. So he's put in a lot of money to this. He's definitely invested in his rehearsal time, is effectively what it is, because nobody has shown up. Nobody has shown up to these dates. Like I said, he's a little over halfway through these dates, and effectively he's playing to no one. Even the opening bands haven't been able to draw crowds because he's been finding local acts to open the show. And yeah, it is definitely a train wreck. But it's so fascinating to watch that the brilliance behind what he's done is impressive. But then to not be able to follow through with it just kind of shows you the importance of priorities. So yeah, it's if anything else comes. Before I completely shut this down, 2 of the 3 band members he has hired quote unquote. He has hired have quit on him, so he's going to be finishing the tour as a guitar-bass combo, just the 2 of them, because his other guitar and drummer quit because they were also duped. They were led to believe there were a bunch of ticket sales, just like these venues were led to believe there were a bunch of ticket sales, and there wasn't. And so these guys have had to pay for their own food, they've had to pay for their own lodging every night, they had to put a lot more money into it than they originally thought they were signing on for. So they said, you know what, we're heading back to the States, have fun. And that's kind of where it sits. The last 2 shows, tonight and I believe last night, or it was 2 nights ago maybe, have been canceled with good reason, I'm sure. Though I understand why the venues, because some of the venues know that this is happening by now, because the first 2 dates, obviously they were like, well, this is strange, why is nobody here? They know now, but a lot of them are still allowing the shows to go because he's already paid for the time, so they don't have anything else going on that night. So it's kind of, let's see what happens. I mean, we already got our money, so let's just put one person behind the bar and kind of watch the circus as it rolls through. Yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't know if that's a commentary on the business at large or what. There's definitely a conversation to be had here. Let's have it down in the comments. And then our last bit of news is going to be a real quick one. Apparently this was announced to be happening a little over a year ago, and I just, for whatever reason, missed it. But The Wall has been covered. Pink Floyd's epic piece of music history, The Wall, it just is so incredibly important in so many ways. It has, I don't know who put this together. All I know is the Melvins are on it, and then a bunch of other metal bands that I have kinda sorta heard of. But the Melvins open up the record. It's called The Wall Redux. There's a link in the description to a Bandcamp site. You can stream it. I believe you can stream it for free, but if you want to download it, then you have to pay. Just incredibly interesting. This is another one I haven't been able to work my way entirely through it, but I definitely plan on it, and we will talk about it down in the comments. But wow, that I'm excited, and this is such an interesting venture because, again, it's a very important piece of music, and then to be covered by somebody like the Melvins, even, just really, really cool. And that, guys, is where we're ending this week's music episode. What did I miss? What should we talk about next week? Let me know in the comments down below. If, though, you want to go deeper in the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. That is the place to go get all of the freebies, all of the social media links, all of the nerdy store links, so you can go get your nerdy swag. All of that stuff is up on the website, generallynerdy.net. Or there's a Patreon page, patreon.com/generallynerdy. That's the place to go support the channel more directly. There's also plans on expanding a lot more over on the Patreon, so come first of the year, there will be a bunch more material going up onto the Patreon that is exclusive to the Patreon, instead of just early access to videos and so on and so forth. There is currently plenty of exclusive stuff as well, but you'll be getting a lot more very, very soon. So jump on now while the tiers are still as they are. 4 tiers. The lowest one is just $1. Go check it out. Patreon.com/generallynerdy. If, though, you are new to this channel, click the subscribe button. If you like this episode, click the like button. Don't forget to ring the bell and share on all the platforms and all that jazz. If you're falling behind in your nerd news and you want to catch up, then you can click or tap that box right there to the left of my face to do that. But before we do that and go to the places and do all the things, guys, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.